Hello and welcome back to another episode of Movie Deputy Reviews. And you may be wondering where I've been. I'm going to definitely get into that. And I guess it's not any more or less fitting that the movie we're going to be talking about today resonates in my real life as well. And it's kind of explaining a little bit about where I've been. I want to apologize firstly to everybody who has been anxiously awaiting some of these new reviews and just been kind of wondering, okay, what's Deputy's spin on it? I've even gotten I've gotten two separate messages. I've gotten a lot more than two, but those two messages were like, we want to know what Deputy thinks. So not we want to know what you think. We want to know what Deputy thinks. And obviously, since I'm Deputy, you're going to get what I think. But a lot has happened since I was here last. You probably noticed I didn't say anything on the show on the 13th about the assassination attempt. That was not intentional. I actually record most of these shows like the early wee hours of the morning of that calendar day. And so when I had recorded the show for that day and even the following day, that had not happened at that point, and occasionally I recorded a day or two ahead, and so I was not even sure how to even address that. It's like it was just such just to think that can happen in this day and age is just such an atrocity. For those who do not know, I am a constitutional conservative, so you can imagine what my strong stance is on that. But anybody who honestly is on the side of that type of behavior, which, social media has been flooded with, is sickening. Absolutely sickening. And you know what? I'd probably be saying the same thing even if it was on the other side, just because it's one thing to have political views and political beliefs and ideals, but it's a whole other thing to take it to that level. Now, the other big news that I have faced recently, like I said, it relates a lot more with the movie. I'm going to go and let you know we are talking about the first Deadpool movie today, the one that came out in 2016, as a build-up to the Deadpool Wolverine review, which obviously I am going to be bringing to you this weekend. Yes, I've already seen it if you're curious, but like I said, I want to do these in order to kind of build up, because even though this is the fourth Deadpool movie, people still don't necessarily know what to expect, but I want to kind of get into a little bit of stuff before that. Oh, hi, Rora. For those who did not know, I don't know if I've mentioned on the program before, I am officially a crazy cat lady. We brought home our 7th kitty not that long ago, and her name is Aurora. She's the proverbial scaredy cat. And she actually just jumped up here on the desk with me, which is kind of rare because she has not explored the office too much yet. Hey, sweetheart. But back to life and the movie. Last Wednesday, actually 10 days ago today, so it was July 17th, was a momentous birthday for me, a milestone birthday. I turned the big 5-0. I'm probably going to gain some listeners and probably going to lose some listeners just based on that information, and you know what, that's fine. But I had been, for those who also don't know, it's like I've been dealing with a lot of chronic medical conditions, and I am fully disabled. A lot of people aren't aware of that, and so it's just kind of something to address. And so with having some new kind of serious stuff going on, I've been bouncing from specialist to specialist to specialist, trying to figure out what was going on, and finally got referred to the local office of hematology and oncology, because my body has been producing an overzealous amount of white blood cells. And it's to the point where it was concerning. So they sent me over there. Well, after a bunch of testing and stuff, the news that I actually found out on my birthday. It was their first opening if I didn't want to wait till like September. So I took the appointment on my birthday thinking, okay, the news isn't going to be that bad. Well, that was not the case. I found out that I have a type of leukemia. I have a very specific type of leukemia called chronic lymphocytic leukemia. It's also known as CLL. It's a very treatable type of leukemia. We did catch this early, but it doesn't make it any less devastating. I mean, the C word is harder for many people to hear than the F word. The F word, I mean, can be done at least in jest. There's nothing funny about cancer. Nothing at all. So if you know a loved one who is dealing with this fight, or know somebody who has dealt with this type of cancer, there are many people who never have symptoms or issues with this type of cancer. And then there's the ones like me, where it's going to require a little bit more with it. So, and how am I relating that to the movie? Well, the main character in Deadpool is, of course, Deadpool, Wade Wilson. And one of the first things we see of him in this movie is that he has cancer. And obviously it's a different type of cancer. But all cancer sucks. And I want to I want to use vulgar language and say, insert F word here, cancer. And if there's ever a podcast to freaking curse on, it's this one. But no, I want to keep my podcast family friendly. And I want to make sure that everybody can listen to them, and they really are for everybody. And now kind of getting into the movie a little bit. There are so many people that took their kids to see this. And there were even like disclaimers by Ryan Reynolds saying, do not bring your kids to this movie. This is not the typical superhero movie. And guess what? There were people that went and got their panties in a bunch. I'm not even kidding. It's like this movie got so much hate because people are like, it's supposed to be a superhero movie. I don't know what they're thinking. And honestly, I did not criticize this movie for being what it was. I walked into this expecting it to be a vulgar, offensive, just in your face type of humor that if you are offended by anything, these are not the movies for you. By any stretch of the imagination, these are not the movies for you. But if you like just really raunchy comedy and just for a superhero that breaks the fourth wall, that actually doesn't just interact in the MCU universe, but interacts with us outside of the universe while on screen. There's just so much happening here. And I want to share with you the original review that I had posted on moviedepravity.com. If you just want to still read that review, it is listed in the description underneath this podcast. So if you'd rather read it than listen to it, that's where it can be found. But I'm going to share that with you now. Deadpool is a character unlike anything you've ever seen before. If you're expecting to see a typical superhero type story, then you're probably in the wrong movie. This is a love story. You're probably thinking, what? But I'm serious. It's not all lovey-dovey and butterflies, but there are unicorns. I'm probably confusing you even further. This is definitely not the typical hero movie, but it is one of the funniest comedies that has been released in the last decade. Now, saying that, the comedy that is in here will not appeal to all. Most of it, if not all of it, is adult-based. And I wrote, what am I saying? It's all adult-based. There is blood, there is gore, there is nudity, there is strong language. So if that offends you, you might want to sit this one out. Though, if you are one who can appreciate this off-the-wall version of Marvel, whether or not you've read the comics, then be prepared to laugh until you can't breathe. All because a man that was out of options saw an opportunity and became more than he could have ever imagined. In the midst of this comedic tale lies something special that will leave you craving more. Make sure and stay through the credits for some special surprises. A story to be enjoyed in all of its depravity that is as timeless as it is funny. Come experience it for yourself. Just be prepared for the content. Now, that's the original review of 300 Words or Less that I had shared on moviedepravity.com. And so that really kind of sums up a lot of the movie. Now, if you couldn't already tell, I am definitely giving Deadpool a guilty rating, but my score might surprise you. I actually gave Deadpool an 8 out of 10 on the deputy scale. Like I said, there is so much that people could hate on in this movie, but it's everything it promises to be and more. It's like if anybody goes into this movie expecting a typical superhero movie, they had no clue. Like I said, is it for everyone? Absolutely not. But there is a wide audience for this. And honestly, with the new one that just came out, in the midst of everything in this past week plus, I needed that laugh. And be sure to come back and, of course, like, subscribe. Feel free to share this as well. But if you subscribe, you're going to get notifications, because today I am doing Deadpool. Tomorrow I'm doing Deadpool 2. And I'm doing Once Upon a Deadpool. For those that are not familiar, there was a Deadpool Christmas special. And then on Sunday, I will have Deadpool and Wolverine. So I know that's the one you guys are most anticipating. And I don't want to let you down with that. So I'm really hoping you at least can appreciate this for what it is, because that's about all we can really look at it for. But I hope that at least helps a little bit explaining of where I've been. And it's going to be a long road, and I may miss some episodes here and there depending on health stuff going on, but I will try my best to keep you updated as much as possible. That's the bad thing with it being a one-person show, aka me, just because it is what it is. I am going to fight with everything I have, and I'm going to try to stay as strong as I can, both physically and emotionally. Thankfully, I have an amazing support system. I've got my husband, my son, and my sister, and who I love dearly. And by the way, she spoiled me with an amazing birthday cake. So thank you, love. It's almost gone. But all I can say is you only turn 50 once. And this was not how I wanted to remember my birthday. I will forever remember that day, not for the day that I turned 50, but for the day that I got that news. So I hope that you come along with me on this journey. If you know somebody who also has CLL, or if you've been diagnosed with CLL yourself, it's like, feel free to follow along, because I'm going to be sharing my story along with my reviews with this. But I will, of course, be back to talk to you soon. So be sure to come back. Bye-bye.